take a look at some feedback for question number 3. Which set of numbers are imaginary numbers? So we're going to look and see, well, what are imaginary numbers? So let's go ahead and scroll up into your notes. And let's see if we can find some imaginary here. All right here, the last little grouping. A number that is not real is an imaginary number. So all these other numbers that you've seen here, your irrational, your rational, your whole number, your natural numbers, your integers, these are all real numbers. They fall under the real number category. However, imaginary numbers do not. They're in its own category. So we're going to take a look at, well, how do you know whether you have an imaginary number or not? And the quickest way to look at that is to see what kind of number do you have underneath of a square root. So if we have a square root, say we have the square root of 16. Well, is there a number times itself that would give us 16? 4 times 4 gives us 16. So this is going to be a nice pretty whole number. But if we have a negative, so say we have a negative 2 underneath the square root, we can't think of one number times itself that would give us negative 2. This makes it an imaginary number because you can't take a negative, multiply it by itself, another negative, and give you a negative, because the negative times the negative is a positive. So there's no one number that we can multiply together that would give us a negative. So anytime you see that square root symbol and you see a negative number underneath that square root symbol, this is an imaginary number. Let's take a look at something similar to my first example. If we had negative 16, you can try and do negative 4 times negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 gives us a positive 16. Well, that's not negative. If we try to do 4, a positive, times itself, 4, that's going to give us a positive 16. But again, we're looking for a negative number. There's no number times itself that is going to give us that negative 16. And we can't take the square root of a negative number. So again, if you get that negative underneath the square root, this is going to be an imaginary number. So when you're looking at your imaginary numbers, you're looking for a set of numbers that have negative numbers underneath that square